I am Jonah Cummings from the CNY Lyme Alliance, and I'm excited to be here with Chol Majok, first former refugee to be elected to the Syracuse Common Council. Thank you for being with us today, Chol.
Thank you so much for having me, Jonah.
Now, recently you were bitten by a tick. Could you tell me a little bit about that situation?
So my backyard is a little bit into the wood. And usually the deers come around here to use it for grazing and to hang out. So this summer I decided that I wanted to clean out my deck and paint it a little bit. So I went out and I spent quite a bit outside on my deck, power washing it. And after I power wash it, I let it dry, and then I start to paint it. While I was doing that, I guess that's when I got the tick. So a day and a half into it, I was sitting on my bed, and my daughter came to me and said, and put her arms around me. And I guess she felt something inside of my left arm. And she said, "Daddy, what is that?" And I looked around and I was like, "Oh man, that is a tick." And how I came to know about it was I attended a couple of neighborhood information sessions. So I knew what it looks like. It was very tiny, very, very small. So I came to know of it. And thankfully, when I went to those sessions, I had a kit that was given to me. So I saved it. I had it. So I went to my wife and I said, "Do you remember that tick kit that they gave us?" And she knew where it was. So what we did, we went and took it out. And I did watch how they took it out. So I was able to slowly remove it, put it on a piece of paper, went ahead and wash it real nice with warm water and soap, and pack up this stuff. And that's when I called Ann. I said, "Ann, what do I do with it?" And she gave me the instruction as to where to take it. So I took it to the lab. The lab came out negative. So I was very thankful about that.
It is a common misconception that ticks can only be found in rural, suburban areas or very heavily wooded areas. You're a city resident, correct?
I am.
And this is, so you weren't in these typical high risk areas. You most likely got it in your own backyard.
No, I live in Elmwood. I live in Elmwood, which is southwest area. And it's right here in my backyard. So you can get it anywhere. You can get it anywhere. I don't think, and I used to think that, yes, it's a rural issue. Also, I attended numerous community gathering that talked about ticks, especially in the east side area, especially the east side TNT. I went to a couple of those, many of them actually. And that's people show a lot of concern. I even met people that were, being affected by the Lyme disease. And so typically I thought it was a east side thing as well. I kind of knew that it would also be everywhere where there are deers, but I didn't expect it would be right here in my backyard, where you would least likely expect that deers are going to be there. And deers are becoming a problem. They are everywhere.
Right. And speaking of that, I know Mayor Walsh and the city government, they're trying to prevent Lyme disease and automobile accidents by culling the white-tailed deer population. Are there any more efforts on the Common Council that are, going towards combating Lyme disease or just the deer population? Is that a topic of conversation?
Of course. We of course, Common Council Common Council represent an entire city, and we have our constituents that bring these concerns to us. And at the same time, we are regular people just like anybody. So we live next to those neighbors that are being affected. We are being affected ourselves, as you can see with my story as well. But overall, I think concerted effort is on culling, and we are aware of that. I think at this moment, culling is the best thing going for us. There's nothing currently that we can really do beside the education, and we continue to reduce or profile the number of deers that are in the city, push them outward a little bit, into more of like a wooded areas than residential. So other than that, I think the DEC effort plus our park department, all of those efforts are there, and we are just here as common councilors to support that effort to make sure that those are, the impact and the effect that is being produced by uh, ticks is reduced.
And as a member of the Common Council and a resident of the city yourself, is there any way that we as our organization can better reach the urban population? Because a lot of the people that we reach tend to be, white people in the suburbs, to be blunt, or white people out in rural areas. And this is, as you've already experienced, an issue in the city. And even some recent studies have shown that white people are maybe 6 times more likely to find the tick on their body because of the rash, or it might just be easier to spot. So is there any advice you have for us as an organization to help get this out to the right communities and people that need to hear it?
Jonah, I think the best way to spread a message is through education, and the worst way to ignore something is lack of education. So it can go from one extreme to another. So effort, I think increasing efforts to educate people, especially people that are urbanly remote, meaning that they live a very excluded life. They are not engaged. They don't have access to information. I think creating that avenue of spreading that educational materials and catering the language to suit those population, at the same time allowing folks that have access and are trusted uh, uh, sources in those neighborhoods, access to those information to allow them to be the one giving it out or aiding folks like you uh, collectively to push that information out. I think that's the best way to go. Uh, and the other part is Facebook today is like almost one of the means of communication. I think having videos that are intentionally catered to certain population will be great. In this sense, I think folks that are baby boomers could access the information easily. Um, if they are written, but when you talk of millennial, they are more of like a device-driven population. So I think catering something like that to them, video-wise, makes sense. For baby boomers, it may be written, hard paper, send it to them. At the same time, couple it with virtual kind of stuff. So I think information, Jonah, information is critical. Information is critical, and I think increasing a way to communicate, letting people know what is out there for them in regards to fighting the disease. I think help. Like I said earlier, for me, how I knew about what to do with it was through neighborhood initiative. And I went to the neighborhood initiative, and as you know, not everybody go to neighborhood initiative. In fact, not a lot of people go to those initiatives. So just hard information in terms of printing and virtual videos and stuff like that would be helpful. At the same time, you probably want to look at the neighborhood leaders. You also want to look at the religious leaders as well as those are places where people gathered and try to build connection with them and drop off material to them and leave them there. Have pastors talk about it. You know, that could be a way to increase awareness.
It's so critical that we can get that information out and let people know that this is a problem even within the city. You don't have to go out into rural lands and go out into the heavy woodlands to get a tick. You got one right in your backyard. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your advice. And it was great to talk to you.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for having me.